Ah. Hello and welcome to Wargamer Online as we tangle ourselves in the cabling, mess up, press the wrong button and go live early. But there you go. Welcome to, well, this is a review, basically. Yeah. On a Monday night, it's a live review, and we are going to be looking at Cities of Sigmar. We know it's been out a while, so this is not a sneak preview review, etc. We did get a nice early copy from Games Workshop, so thank you very much to that. And we used that in the forming of some armies and preparation for some battle reports for the channel. But you've had some time with the book now.
Yeah, it's more kind of like a retrospective after I've done a couple of games. I've kind of like worked out some nooks and crannies, tried some different cities and kind of different units in them, and tried to work out what kind of works in the book.
Good.
Yeah.
Did I mention Jack's with me?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think you did. But
Jack's with me. How cool is that? So, you were working on Free Peoples before this came out, weren't you?
Yeah, so I kind of like had an Empire gunpowder army.
Yeah. Before
this came out, and then this dropped. And as you will probably know, the Free Peoples are in it. They've had updated war scrolls, updated points, but along with that, kind of, you know, it was just everything that wasn't in a Battletome they put into this Battletome as the free cities, isn't it? So it's all kind of the races left over from the old world that didn't really have their own standing, but kind of like, you know, you would see them around the cities. I mean, it's always in the stories.
They were covered in the lore.
Yeah, in the lore and the stories, you know, you would always have the Free Guild Regiment, but then they would have dispossessed warriors with them and some elven assassins and, you know, maybe a war hydra or something.
And the remnants of each one of those races and factions were essentially sheltered in Azir, weren't they?
Yes, yeah.
So they were up there in the Sigmar land.
Yeah.
Because pretty much, I think it's fairly safe to say, except for a few of the factions, like for instance Fyreslayers continued. So when you look at those new factions, Fyreslayers, Iron of Deepkin,
Daughters of Cain,
Sylvaneth to a degree, because they kind of survived hidden. You know, they did survive the Age of Chaos. In you know, different stages. And different sets of survival.
Even to some degree, the cities survived. You know, there was free cities all along the Mortal Realms, which was a bastion of order during the Realm of Chaos. I mean, admittedly, a lot of them fell and got succumbed to chaos.
Yeah, I think from a lore point of view, I think all of them. Yeah, because you obviously had the Realmgate Wars, which was to secure the sort of main bastions.
Sigmar's reawakening.
And the reason the Stormcast Eternal have that wonderful teleport mechanism is because actually they couldn't use the Realmgate.
Yes, they had to have some way to travel the realms.
Yeah, and it was an untested transport method. But you know, they sent the spearheads in via the lightning. But it's much more safer and much more reasonable and less power consuming to use the Realm Gates, so they secured the Realm Gates.
And then they built cities around the Realm Gate.
Realm Gates,
I mean, most of the cities, are built around Realm Gate. I mean, the most prominent one is Hammerhull, of course, is kind of the big city, and that is built around the Realm Gate between, I think it's Gairan and Akshi. So you do have Hammerhal Gairan, and you have Hammerhal Akshi.
Yeah, there's
they're
two
connected
halves of a city
through the Realm Gate. You know, it's really clever how they've done that.
I really like that.
And one of the things to remember is, you know, it always gets me is kind of just the time scale of the Realmgate Wars. I mean, these cities and these bastions of order have been built since the Realmgate Wars. Since the Stormcast have come, these cities and great places have been
you know
built.
What? It's several hundred years.
Yeah, it's hundreds of years.
Yeah. Because there is in one of the stories, there's a reference to 200 odd years since the Stormcast landed in the location. So there's at least 200 years. One thing I've actually never thought about is we've not actually seen, which you normally would in some of the campaign packs, is a timeline.
Yeah, no, we haven't seen a timeline.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
it's hard
unless
to judge.
there is one out there.
Several generations in and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So, right, here we go. Let's catch up with the chat for a split second. But before we do that, I just want to talk about the format of this review then. So, it's not a page-by-page review. There's plenty of those online already.
Yeah.
What it really is kind of the story of your migration from Free Peoples into Cities of Sigmar.
Just everything else, yeah.
And the point is, not unlike, I think, Beastclaw Raiders. Once the Battletome was out, the kind of uni faction, the single faction... wasn't as strong.
No,
it was still good.
It wasn't as strong, but it was still kind of prevalent in there. You could still run a Beastclaw Raiders army.
Yeah, you can run it.
You can run a
it's not
Gutbusters
super top
army.
end competitive.
Yeah, no, it's...
You know, it's not. It's certainly, but you know, and then you start bringing the rest in. It's a little bit like that. Your Free People's army. As you've spent time with the Cities of Sigmar, but you've realised there's just some units in there.
Yes, yeah. The Free Peoples, whilst, I mean, you can, of course, you can do an army of Free Peoples. It does work. It's just, the book isn't about that. The book isn't about having a Free People's army. It isn't about having a dispossessed army. It's about having a Free Cities army. And I think once people get over that hurdle, it's kind of really interesting, the combinations you can do, how you can add this with this, and or if I take these elves with these dwarves, wow, I can do this with them.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting, you know, there's been a couple of shows recently since we kind of got back into broadcasting again, where I've talked about, you know, if you're wanting to develop some factions, but you feel that, you know, you don't want to sit elves directly next to dwarves.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with you doing some kind of creative proxying.
Yes.
You know, to create a themed look of an army. You know, I mean, there's no secret. I've talked about these on several occasions. This is the current progress. So here are my dwarven magma lines, which I've been working on. So they've just got base colours on at the moment. Lots of work still to go to them. But as you can see, they're my Fire Slayer Dracolines, basically. And I think you could do something similar with Cities of Sigmar. If you want to go wizard themed, all of your troops, we talked about it, you could use like any of the cloaked models and have even the standard soldiers as almost like Harry Potter school. You know, it's all wizards in training.
I think that is something to mention as well. I mean, Cities of Sigmar is a kind of modeler's dream, let's say, because I think they can ally with all of the Order armies. I don't quote me on that, but I think all of the Order armies can take Cities of Sigmar armies. So, you know, it's so say you're playing a Daughters of Cain army and you feel like you're lacking a bit of range support. Hey, throw some Wanderers in there, throw some crossbows in there. Who knows?
So Cities of Sigmar can ally with Cain, Daughters of Cain, Fire Slayers, Ideneth, Deep King, Caradron Overlords, except in a Tempest Eye army.
They can take them
Sylvaneth, except in Living City army, or a Greywater Fastness army.
Oh, that's because they hate Greywater Fastness, because they're destroying them.
Greywater Fastness are all mechanics.
They're destroying Gyrant.
So there's some limitations, not many, plenty of opportunity. Before we dig into this kind of story of migration from Free Peoples into Cities of Sigmar, and what we're going to do is we are going to be looking at the book. We're going to be talking about the units you've added and why, the cities that you've chosen and why. So that there is going to be some kind of analysis into the book.
I've played with most of the cities at this point. I haven't played with all of them, but I've done most of them. So.
And you've added a few new units in, and you know, hey, little surprise that there's some shiny dwarves in progress there at the moment. So I think I just broke him. And a whole bunch of other stuff. Let's catch up with the chat and then let's jump into this quickly. So I just want to say hi to a few people. I noticed that Tabletop War James has joined us. Been a while since he joined a live show. That's not a dig. They're your words, Tabletop War James. So it's good to see you, sir. Coleman's in there, of course. Good to see you, Coleman. Sorry to interrupt your nap time. I'm still slightly shocked that you have nap time, but there you go. And Coleman indeed saying we can hear and see you, so thank you for that. I did read that. It's always good to get to know that we're actually out there in the real world. 12 Neef is in there saying hey all, and 12 commented, have you read the short stories in the Battletome? How are they? I'm going to go with no.
No. I do need to. I do find the lore actually quite interesting.
We'll revisit. And the old boy says, bless you. I'm not quite sure to what, but that's cool either way. Oh, maybe that was about napping. Coleman's just gone into some very long paragraphs about the kind of nap he likes. 12 Neef also says, I think Soul Wars says it was approximately 100 years since the Realm game was. We've definitely heard references in some of the audio books of 200-300 years. So, again, even the Souls War is happening over a prolonged
I don't know whether the end of the
time.
Realm Gate Wars is 100 years until the Soul Wars has started, but I think we're several hundred years into the Soul Wars.
I've definitely heard references of 200-300 years. So, you know, the timeline is progressing. It would be nice to see something official on that. Coleman says this book is about having whatever you want as long as you're not competitive. Oh, I think there's a... okay. I see your point. There are units in there that... But, you know, isn't that every Battletome?
Yeah.
You know, usually you end up with 2 or 3 units, and that's why when you see tournament lists, they found the 2-3 units in the army that are just the best 2-3 units, and then you just
abuse that.
Fill the points. I've heard they could be quite competitive. I agreed. They're, you know, I've played a couple of games against them, and even in your, I would argue your subpar
armies, there are definitely things that really work.
Still interesting. Tabletop Wars James is looking into Age of Sigmar next year and looking at Beast Claws. It's a winner without a doubt. Again, with the new Ogre book, you do need to think about some of those other units. I think we might do a show about Beast Claws and follow up a similar story of Beast Claws into Ogre Kingdoms, because you know,
because I have a Beast Claws army.
Yeah, and you know the point is the models are the ogres on foot are still in the same armor, the same body armor and everything. And what you did with your Beast Claws was put like furry cloaks all over them. So you're going to do that with your foot soldiers, aren't you? You know, so it still works. You can still design that theme around them. Evening Chap says, Ralph, good evening, Ralph. Good luck in your move, which is pending soon, I believe. So good luck with that, sir. And there's a difference between 2 to 3 units out of 7 and 2 to 3 units out of 30. Well, Coleman, you always sit on the sad side of glumness, so I think there's more than 2 or 3 units.
Yeah,
I've played against this army. There's more than 2 or 3 units.
There's a lot of combinations.
But we'll talk about that. So maybe we'll no doubt there'll be many a tussle inside the chat as we talk about what is and isn't, and I welcome opinion. I like the More Tribes mini narrative campaign in the last month's White Dwarf. Well, we'll come back to that as well. Maybe that's for another show. We are planning on doing some of the mini campaigns and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
We've also been working on our meeting engagements list. So what I plan to do is we're just going to live stream some of those meeting engagement games as we work them out.
Yeah.
So we're not professing to be
professionals at this.
Professing to be professionals.
We are anything but.
I've played a couple of meeting engagement games. They are challenging for Fire Slayers for sure.
Oh boy, they are.
Because I lack mobility. Meeting engagements is definitely a game that requires mobility, and there's a couple of reasons for that. You are forced to bring your army in over a protracted period, first and second turn, and the game is only 4 turns long.
Yeah.
And even though it's on a smaller playing area, that's enough. The loss of that 5th turn.
Yeah, the whole
for a slow army.
You know, with dwarves, in a normal game, you can deploy 24 inches up, and then you're 24 inches onto the board as a dwarf. Whereas in meeting engagements, you come in on the line, and then you move 4 inches up, and that's about it.
Coleman's working on Demigris for a game on Friday. I got slammed.
Just finished doing my 6.
I got slammed by 6 Demigris on a charge.
Boy,
Ouch.
They are interesting.
Okay, let's talk about that then. So let's get into the book. We've got the book here in front of us.
I think one thing I want to say with with Coleman 2 to 3 units out of 30 is with this book, I haven't seen anything that I look at and go meh and throw it out the window. I think every unit in the book has a niche and is playable. You know, in some armies, you look at a unit and go, I do not understand why that's even in the book. It just doesn't work. Whereas with the cities, I haven't found that anything is overly rubbish, if you get me.
Well, I want to talk about your Free Guild army, where it is now.
Yeah.
And where it started from.
Yeah.
Free Guild General on Griffin.
He was always a must.
He was in your must. He was a must.
He's the centerpiece model, isn't he? He's awesome. He's on this big old griffin. He's having a good time. The griffin's screeching away.
It's a great model.
Yeah, it's a great
fantastic model. You've gone for an Excalibur.
Yeah,
look
King
to
Arthur.
all of your
He's got
armor.
that beautiful gold armor,
gold and silver armor,
bald eagle, the white head, the blue of the chest, the brown wings. It's just awesome.
Your Cities of Sigmar army are super. You've gone with that aesthetic,
knight in
super
shining
shiny
armor. Yes,
I really like it.
Yes,
it's good for. You see the griffin coming on.
Yeah, the demi-griffs as well.
And the gold
the
armor gleaming.
Gold.
It's so bright on the back of the model. Looks fantastic. But why was he in to start with, and why has he remained in your list right now? And what have you been doing with him to make him competitive?
So he was in to start with because A, he's the centerpiece model to a Free People's Army.
Yeah.
And B, he wasn't that bad. I mean, in the old book, you could get him to like a 2-up save, ignoring -1 rend. In this book, you can get him to a 2-up save, which anything on a 2-up save is really impressive.
Yep.
His combat stats aren't bad. I mean, the Great Hammer is -2 rend D3 damage, 4 damage on the beaks, 2 damage on the claws. He's just all around really good. He's got his command ability, an aura of +1 hit and +1 to run and charge.
So this is the rousing battle cry.
I mean, it's
so you can
insane.
let's pull out some of the rules for those wanting a kind of the review-esque element to it. You can use this command ability at the start of your charge phase. If you do so, I love the fact it's at the start of the charge phase. You're calling it when you need it. There's a few command abilities inside Fire Slayers. It's a little bit painful whether you have to call it at the start of the hero phase. And I'd much rather have a mid-game option on it. So start the charge phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Free Guild hero with this command ability. Until the end of that phase, add 1 to charge rolls for friendly Free Guild units wholly within 12 inch of the hero. In addition, in the next combat phase, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Free Guild units while they're wholly within 12 inch of the hero. Unit cannot benefit from this command ability more than once per phase. But let's just take that. That's the Free Guild Griffin charging in, burning a single command point, giving +1 to hit
to himself
and 12
all units. Exactly.
6 demigriffs.
I mean that's the combination I used against Huan to quite well effect. I mean, they're charging in. I mean, the Griffins hitting on 2s, apart from his Talons, which hit on 3s. The demigriffs hit on 2s. I mean, the thing you find with this book is a lot of the units actually hit on 3s, and there's several ways to get +1 to hit. I mean,
and it's agony when you open up
really
with the gunners
impressive.
and I'm 2 to hit, and you're
2s to hit, 3s to wound, -1.
2s to hit, 3s to wound, -1 with how many shots?
30 shots.
30 shots.
Bam, bam, bam. That's a unit gone.
Painful.
Yeah.
Painful. Let's just look at this again. What I really like about this hero, this command ability as well, it's a 2-parter. You get a benefit for the charge if you're wholly within 12 inch, but then it's wholly within 12 inch on combat.
You get the +1 to hit.
You get the +1 to hit.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant because you're either close together already and charging, or you use your charges to get the model
close together,
wholly within 12 inch. And it gives you so many options when you're using a decent charge move to be able to make sure you're in that 12 inch bubble.
Yeah.
It's good. It's really good.
I mean, another rule I want to point out is his piercing blood roar. So that's an 8-inch bubble of -1 to bravery, and I cannot tell you how amazing that ability is. There has been several times where I'm up against an elite unit, something heavy cavalry, trolls, big multi-wizard, they need like a 6 to fail and 1 will run, and they roll it, and it's like, it's a 5, and then that bravery bomb, that -1 bravery just tips it, and that's like a 4 wound model going. I mean, it's not as great on high mass units, lots of models, because it's like an extra 1 guy running.
But with the mobility you get with this guy, I mean, the move is
15-inch move with a fly.
You're picking your targets. You're rarely in a combat you don't want to be in when you're 15-inch and you have the fly keyword.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Free Guild General is always.
So he's still in.
He's still in.
What have you been? Where have you improved upon him then? Because you've talked about you've taken some of the different cities.
Yeah. So in Hammerhal, he's quite interesting in Hammerhal because you can get him on a 2-up save. I mean, he's 4-up base. You give him +1 because he's a shield, and then one of the Hammerhal artifacts gives him another +1 to his save. It's a 2-up save base.
Right. Okay.
You charge him into hordes, and he just stays there all day, removing the hordes.
Yeah. So you push him to a 2-up save.
Yeah, and it's.
And his 5 attacks, 3s and 4s, -1 rend doing 2 damage.
Yeah.
Which you're improving This is 2s and 4s.
2s and 3s.
How does it become 3? How are you improving the wound?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So, okay, so 2s and 4s.
Well, 2s and 3s, I'd run in with the hammer.
Oh, you running with the hammer?
Yeah, I run
sorry.
in with the hammer.
Okay, which is 3 attacks, doing the D3 damage.
2d3.
Yeah, that's interesting, that, because I'd always pick a solid 2 damage over a D3. But
I find the -2 rend to be quite useful, though.
Good point.
-2 always helps.
Yeah.
Another thing I like doing with him is the Hallow Heart City. One of the Hallow Heart artifacts allows him to become a wizard, which is always great. Free God General is a wizard. And you give him Ignite Weapons. That's, I think it's a casting value of 6, and it gives a unit +1 to wound.
Yeah.
That's giving him +1 to wound. That Demigriffs who sorely need the +1 to wound. 4s to wound on a lance. It's painful. Sure, you're like hitting on 2s. I'm like, yeah, I get all of them through. I'm wounding on 4s, and I've got 2 through. Because I can never.
And the lance on the charge is doing
-2 damage. So
-2.
2 damage.
2 damage.
Yeah. So.
And how many attacks on each model?
3 each.
3 each model.
3 each.
So when you did the charge of 6.
Yeah.
Getting 12 lance. 12 lance attack. Oh, sorry, no, 18.
18.
Hitting on 2s, and you're pushing that to a wounding on 3.
Yeah.
Doing 2 damage.
Doing 2 damage at -2 rend. Yeah.
Vulgar.
And I mean, again.
Goodbye, Magma Drop. By the way, that's what I learned that day.
The Demigriffs are quite fast as well. So a 9-inch move. Okay, they're not speedy, but they're 9-inch move. They're all right. They can pick and choose what they want to do.
Yeah, it was an interesting combo because when you had those Demigriffs alongside the Gryphon General, you basically removed each unit, essentially removing a Magma Drop a turn. So it's 2 Magma Drops a turn.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay. And you were picking your combat, you were keeping out of 3-inch range to stop me getting my next guys in.
Yeah.
And you were just doing that. And then you were attacking.
You can attack twice. Yeah, that's with Hammerhal. That's one of the things that drew me to Hammerhal is their innate command ability allows you to attack twice with a unit if you're in the enemy's territory, which is
Which
nice.
15-inch move with fly.
Yeah,
you're in the enemy territory.
Because
again, you've chosen
a lot
where
of the
combat
games,
is.
the enemy's territory is up to the halfway mark. So
Yeah.
I really liked him. I really like the model. He's you have that rule of cool where you've got kind of the Demigriffs, the Royal Knights alongside their general. It just looks nice.
I'd like to jump into a couple of the mainstays of your units and the impact that the new book had on them.
Yep.
If it had any.
Okay.
And then I think we'll jump into a couple of the units you've decided to add in.
Yeah.
So definitely from a player perspective, I'm used to sitting alongside many a rank of these guys.
Oh boy, Hangener's got arguably better.
Okay.
In fact, not even arguably, they did get better. So they used to hit on 5s.
Right.
Now they hit on 4s. But
Yep.
I mean, they used to hit on 5s, but they got +1 to hit for standing still, and they got +1 to hit for having 20 or more models. So you could get them to a 3-up to hit without help. Whereas these guys now hit on 4s, and they get +1 to hit if they have 10 or more models, and nobody's within 3 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, that's we get.
Oh, and if it hasn't made a move.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is something I'll come on to, but that whole, so you can get them to 16-inch range, 3s, -1/1 damage. That's, it's good. It's good. 1 shot each, 100 points each. If they get into combat, they're gone. That's just the point of them.
And it happened.
Yeah,
I think I took
you
in 3
break
Dracolines and just mowed them down when I got in there.
But they have the stand and shoot. So if you get charged by if they get charged, they can shoot. As kind of one last ditch attempt. So it kind of makes the opponent question charging them. But as well as that rule, as you did, can be easily kind of.
Well, it can be, but I had to commit 2
Yeah,
units.
yeah, you
and
have
I
to-
lost a unit.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can only do it once, can't you?
You can throw a cheap unit in there.
So let's give an example of how I chose to get around that. I needed to get my Dracolines in there. I was fairly confident the 3 Dracolines had removed them on the charge. They're doing D3 damage with their claws. They've got 3 attacks each, and it's just it's going to go well.
Yeah.
I got re-rolling wounds off as well because I got the spell off. So I was fairly confident. I wasn't going to remove the unit. I was going to do enough damage for you to either spend a command point or lose them to battle shock. I was fairly confident. Problem was, there were still 20 odd of them left.
Yeah.
And I needed to charge them. And with that kind of like firepower, I was definitely going to lose 2 Dracolines.
One or two.
Yeah, it felt like definitely 1, possibly 2.
Yeah.
In which case, the damage they do when they got there was no good. I had a unit of Volkite Berserkers
like
nearby.
2 of them were left.
There's
after,
3. There's 3 left.
Yeah, after several shooting.
So they've been
phases,
decimated, basically. So you can't Overwatch when there's an enemy model within 3 inches.
Nor can you Overwatch twice.
So I charged with the Volkite Berserkers. Interestingly enough, I failed the charge. I had to burn a command point.
Yeah,
because I definitely wanted to keep my Dracolines alive. So it's not without cost, this tactic.
Yeah.
Took my three Volkite Berserkers in. You open fired, of course you did, because if you didn't kill them, they're within 3 inches and you don't get it anyway.
Yeah.
We didn't even roll the dice. I took the 3 guys off, basically.
Yeah,
I'd sacrificed 3 Volkite Berserkers. There was no point rolling the dice. But then it meant my Dracolines could make the charge. And I was pretty fortunate. Dracolines can re-roll. Because I think I missed the charge and had to re-roll anyway, didn't I? So, if that. So, and again, anytime you've got to do 2 charges, which is 2 sets of rolling, and the potential to burn command points just to get around the Overwatch, it still cost me. Even though it only cost me 3 Volkite Berserkers and none of my Dracolines, and even though that unit got removed, it cost me. It cost me in command points. It cost me in a unit.
Yeah.
Even though there was only 3 left, they were still a unit that could have held an objective.
Yeah, it is a really nice rule, and something that should also be mentioned was originally that rule came from the Pipers. You used to have a Piper stood at the front just going crazy with their pipe.
Okay, right.
It doesn't do that anymore.
The Piper is actually had 1 to run and charge.
It's now an ability, and why that's important is crossbowmen don't have that anymore. So crossbowmen used to get it because the Piper was the same, and now crossbowmen don't get the stand and shoot.
So the handgunners really have that as a peek over the crossbowmen. So they're still in there. You're boosting them to hitting on 2s.
That's
whatever they're
Celestial Hurricanum.
You're sticking the Hurricanum behind.
Yeah,
You've
which,
admitted that's
again,
costly, for that. Do you think?
Yes, the Celestial Hurricanum does cost quite a bit, but it can do so much. I mean, it can do like 3d3 mortal wounds a turn from its storm. It gives an aura of +1 to hit. It's a spell. It's a hero. It's this, and this. It has a lot going for it. But yeah, it's like 280 points for it, which is a severe chunk out of your units. When you're taking other expensive units like Demigryph Knights and a Free Guild General,
But it's the curse of kind of steering towards the elite aspect of the... Yeah. You do at least have some cheap options.
The problem you get when you do that as well is because you want everybody to be near the Celestial Hurricanum to get the +1 to hit. So your army kind of devolves into this one big blob that moves around together. So because the 280 points isn't worth it if it's only just buffing the handgunners. You want it to be buffing your artillery and your combat dudes as well. So with it being wholly within 10 inches, it's a very short range.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, and Coleman's making this point, it's a good unit in its own right, but if it's stuck at the back providing a bubble to everyone, it's not. And that's the thing is, isn't it? So you kind of pick it for one thing and can't use it for another. Because the last thing you want to do is commit it forward.
And it will die because it's awful in combat.
Yeah, but it's got a shooting attack, hasn't it?
The shooting attack's really good. No, it's 18 inches, and you roll 3 dice, and every 2 up is D3 mortal wounds. So you're getting like 2 to 3 D3 mortal wounds. It's a character sniper.
Yeah, which is cool. And on top of, don't forget, you've also got the crack shot.
Which is the long rifle. Yeah,
long rifle circumnavigates. Look out, sir.
I think that works well. Like, the way I see that working is 3 to 4 min squads of handgunners, and you've got 3 to 4 long rifles all shooting at one character. Because when you've got a big unit of 30, you only get one long
you get one, and it's one shot, isn't it? And he does 2 damage.
Yeah.
You can get him down to 2 to hit, of course. 3's to wound.
-1.
-1 Ren doing 2 damage. But you're right. For it to snipe characters off, okay, it might pick off the last couple of wounds.
Yeah,
which is good. But to actually say, I'm going to snipe off that
even with everyone
Rune
hitting,
Smiter.
everyone wounding, it's taking one dude like 3 turns.
Yeah,
to
well,
kill
a lot of characters like Rune Smiter's 5 wounds.
Yeah.
So you could take them off. 3 guys could take them off, but probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
and
it'll probably take 2 turns.
It's nice to pick off that last wound, but not enough to build a faction around it. Okay, what else have we seen in...
Well,
you want to talk about what you've been adding to it and why? Let's look at some of the units.
Okay, so if I move into what I'm adding to it is battle mages. Battle mages are the new best thing because you take the magical city, because it's in my opinion, it's the most competitive city, and you have a 90-point battle mage, which knows 2 spells. So it's a 2-cast 90-wound model.
Which is
90-point model.
90-point model, yeah.
Yeah, and you know...
5 wounds?
The spells...
6 upstage, not brilliant,
spells as well. Oh, is like, subtract 1 to hit, plus 1 to wound. Heal D6 wounds. You know, it's got an anti-horde 4-up to do a mortal wound as well. I mean, they're just amazing. They're amazing. I mean, I've seen people taking 4 or 5 of them in an army with a Celestial Hurricane, just as this.
So you gain a spell based on the realm you're from, yeah?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing as well. I think people get quite confused in this. Is they think that the realm your army is from is the realm your battle mage is from, which it isn't. You can be Hammerhal and be from Akshi, but your battle mage studies the school of Shaman. It's more schools of magic.
Yeah,
than...
so in other words, just pick one.
Yeah, just pick one.
I mean, it depends how much you want to do in the background of your army and the fluff side of it.
Yeah.
But, it's cool.
I mean, personally, my favourite schools would be Hish with fast protection, -1 to hit. So always good. And Transmutation of Lead, actually, the Shaman, which is it halves an enemy unit's move characteristic.
So enemy unit within 18 inch, not wholly within, so that's nice, bit of range to it. Until your next era phase, half the move characteristics of the unit you picked, rounding up. In addition, if the unit has a save characteristics of 2+, 3+, or 4+, you can re-roll hits of 1 for attacks that target the unit.
It's very, you've got Daughters of Cain. I mean, I know Daughters of Cain have a low armor save, but that unit which is really fast and really annoying and gets everywhere, you put Transmutation down and they're now moving 3 inches. And it just takes that entire unit to just a halt.
Yeah. No,
or
I like
that character or something,
Okay, so you said you're adding them. They're 90 points. How much are you looking at when it comes to the...
they're 90 points each. So
how many are you looking at?
I'm looking at 2. Looking at 2 because the list I'm working towards is a Hallowheart army.
Right.
Because I feel, magic, since the Soul Wars, magic has such a dominance in Age of Sigmar now. And another thing Hallowheart gives is an army-wide 5-up to ignore spells, which is just, that...
What, is that even endless spells? Is that the effects of spells?
Effects of endless spells and stuff. So, a 5-up across your army just to ignore all that is just brilliant.
Because endless spells, they're growing in popularity. You're seeing more and more of them, multi-endless spells.
Yeah, and that's another thing as well. Cities of Sigmar, if you're really into your magic and your endless spells, Cities of Sigmar is the book to go for, because when wizards cast a endless spell, they always count it as being its empowered version. Because they study the school and stuff. So
yeah, nice. Coleman's just making a point. Schools of magic replace the colours of mages from the old
ones. So you'd have like blue mages,
or was
white
it elements?
mages.
But yes, even so, battle mage plus a Balewind vortex.
Yeah,
says Amit.
Yeah,
it's
they're
doable,
pretty
isn't
good.
it? I think it's battle mage plus endless spells. I mean, that's the whole thing. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of gaps in your army that you can fill with an endless spell. I think
the Soul Screen Bridge is one that pops to mind. The Eighth Void Pendulum. That's just, pendulum's just horrible. It just goes D6 mortal wounds as it travels across the table.
Yeah, and the good old Gemisquigs.
Geminids, Geminids are really good.
Geminids are
we
good.
use them in our Orc army to great effect. I just wound
Gemisquigs.
Gemisquigs.
Yeah. Okay, what else are we seeing then?
Some
of the new units.
Things I'm adding to my army. Well, of course, there's Iron Breakers. The new door. I think you've gone way past them. I think they're
gone way past Iron Breakers. Hold on a minute, folks.
Longbeards.
Long beard,
No.
so Iron Drakes.
There,
Iron
Iron
Breakers.
So Iron Breakers is one I want to talk about. They're 130 points, so they're pricey.
For 10.
Yeah, for 10. I'm not going to deny that they are pricey, but they're a 3-up save with 2 attacks each.
Yeah, because they're only 1 wound each.
Yeah.
Compared to, say, the Fire Slayer's 2
Yeah,
wound.
yeah, but...
You know, you're paying 160 for 20 wounds on a Volkite Berserker.
Yes. Whereas 130 for 10 wounds with a 3-up save.
3-up save, though.
3-up save. You know. So they're quite interesting. They're kind of... I'm taking a unit of 20 of them, and they're kind of becoming my, like, just hard-core unit that will just last. You know, 3-up save against non-rending attacks. They are going to last quite a while, especially with, like, Mystic Shield and Fast Protection down on them. So that's kind of my idea behind them.
Okay.
They're a base battle line as well. So another thing as well, which kind of almost counteracts my points from the beginning, is that a lot of units in this army are only battle line if their corresponding hero is your general. So, you know,
Yeah.
Demigriff Knights are only battle line if the Free Guild General is your general.
Gotcha.
Whereas kind of Iron Breakers, Free Guild Guard, they're battle line no matter what.
Yeah, okay.
Which is really nice.
Yeah.
So
There's
in
no
my, because
restriction
that
on
was the
anything.
thing, that's what I was struggling with my army originally, was to make up battle line, but I've kind of like worked my way around it now.
Okay, so looking at the battle line, we've got quite a few actually. Bleak Swords, Dark Shark,
yeah.
Dead Spears, Eternal Guard, Free Guild Crossbowman, Free Guild Guard. So there's a lot in there, isn't
Yeah.
there? Okay, so Iron Breakers are giving you a little bit more a defensive wall.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, they're a move 4, so
Can move 4, but hey ho, what are you gonna do? They're dwarves.
they're
aren't
dwarves. Yeah.
they? Little legs.
Steady, slow and steady wins the
Slow
day.
and steady. Good over long distance.
Not necessarily the
No,
mission.
wait, no, that's it. They're good at sprinting, aren't they? That's
Very
it.
dangerous over short
Yeah, that's
distances.
There we go. So yeah, they're quite good. They're quite good. I've definitely found them to be worth it.
Okay, what else have you been putting in there?
Next, it would be Sisters of the Watch.
Okay.
Now, this is something I want to talk about because a lot of people look at Sisters of the Watch and they think 160 points, nah, not for me.
Yeah.
But
Well, let's go through it, yeah? They've got the watch... So, 6-inch move. So, they're nice and fast, of course.
yeah,
You'd
nice and
expect
fast.
from those.
5-up save,
5-up
bravery
save.
7.
Yeah, all right. 1 move, bravery 7's not... It's okay. They've got the watch bow, which is 18-inch range, 1 attack, 3s, no rend, 1 damage. I have to say, looking at it, come on, explain to me then. It's got to be something in the abilities,
Yeah,
yeah?
it's all the abilities aspect of it. So, you know, unmodified wound roll of 6 is a mortal wound.
Okay.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
They have the stand and shoot ability. So if they get charged, they can shoot their bows.
Nice.
And if they stand still, they add 1 to their attack's characteristic. So they become 2 shots each. 3s, no rend 1.
Ah, okay.
Which is why. So you look
Yeah,
at
now I
them,
see it.
they're 160 points for
Yep.
20 shots. 3s base.
Hold on. 20 shots because they've stood
Because
still.
they've stood still.
Yeah.
That's why you have like the Soul Screen Bridge. Because you can transport your shooting units about, and they don't actually class as moving because it's a redeployment.
Oh, yeah.
They
It
don't
doesn't
move.
constitute
Yeah.
a move. Yeah.
So, you know, you have your Soul Screen Bridge, you can move your sisters over and then they shoot.
Okay.
They hit good, they wound good.
So let's do the math on this. This is 20 shots doing 3s to hit. It could be up to 2s to hit if they were near.
Quite easily. Well, that's why you add the Nomad Prince, makes them.
Oh, okay. So
2s
we'll
to
come to
hit.
the Nomad Prince. So you're getting them up to 2s to hits. Any 6 out of those 20 shots is
No,
doing mortal
it's
wound?
wound
No?
rolls.
Oh, wound roll. Okay. So, what, 2s to hit, you're going to lose, you're going to lose a few shots, but you're still probably going into 15 rolls for wound,
Yeah.
which is probably going to do 10 wounds if you can, unless you can improve the wound roll now.
Yeah, you
But
can.
at 15 wounds, you're doing 2 or 3 mortal wounds a turn.
Yeah, which...
And, 10 wounds going in, but no rend, yeah?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
10 wounds, 1 damage, no rend. So you're probably looking at 2 or 3 mortal wounds and 10 wounds,
yeah.
of which, you're going to lose some to save. It depends, again, what your target's
Yeah,
18-inch
so-
range gives you some options on
Exactly,
target.
and that's another thing. This is kind of why I'm choosing them over handgunners, is because in a unit of 20... So, in a unit of 20, they're 320 points, or 160 each. So, they're 20 points more than 30 handgunners. I get 10 more shots. I hit better. I have better range, and I have the ability to do mortal wounds. Now, I lose the rend, but I'm fine with that.
Are you going with 10 of these, or are you going with 20 of these?
2 units of 20. 2 units of 20.
Okay, so we're now talking 40 shots.
Yeah. So the units of 20 are doing like 40 shots. The 2 units are doing 80 shots each. It's kind of just volleying arrows across the table.
Yeah.
The Soul Screen Bridge allows you to move them
damage.
about.
If you could give them rend, they'd be amazing.
Yeah.
You know, if they were in is it
actually ignites their arrows, which
yes.
ironically their arrows are made of fire, but hey ho.
Arrows are made of
ignite
fire,
a
but
magical
they lack
arrow.
rend. That's interesting. But
Well,
then
that's why they do the mortal wounds. It's kind of it burning your soul away.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite painful.
Yeah.
Right, you mentioned you would take
the Nomad Prince. So if you go the other way.
Other way. Hold on a
I
second.
mean, this geezer is my new favourite person ever. He is brilliant. 120 points. I originally just put him in there and made him my general just so I could take the Sisters of Watch's battle line.
Right.
Because I was really... It was him or 83 Gil Guard, 10 free Gil Guard. So I went with him.
Yep.
And I kind of just put him in there without even looking at the rules. I went, meh, he'll be alright. Stick him as my general as well, so I can...
Yeah, it was a 120 tax on taking battle line, yeah.
And the reason why he works as the general as well, you make a battle mage one of his advisors, so he gets command points on a 4-up. You make the Iron Breakers... what are they called? Like the guardman of the dude, so he's less likely to be shot. And then I looked at him, and he's like 3-up save, 5 wounds. You're like, alright, that's pretty good for 120 points.
Yep.
4 attacks, 3s, -1, 2 damage. Yeah,
good.
okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And then I looked at his Harrying Bird of Prey. Now, this is my favourite thing ever. He has a little eagle that goes and sends out.
So in your hero phase, you can pick one enemy hero within 16-inch decent range. Until your next hero phase, subtract 1 from casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls for that model. And subtract 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that model. So that's really, really interesting. Shut down of
really
some significant
good.
casters.
Really
not
good.
shut down.
You know, you got
hampering.
Arkan the Black getting his eyes pecked out by a bird or something like that.
It's just annoying.
I mean, the best thing about it is the subtract 1 to hit rolls for that model. You know, you've got a very good hero on a monster.
Anytime you can do that kind of,
him.
you know, it really takes the wind out the sails, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's the Prayer of Ash, isn't it? Which is -1.
Yeah, Prayer of Ash -1.
I love it. I love doing that -1. You see your opponent's face like... Ugh.
You know, I mean, even better as well. You know, you've got those 20 Iron Breakers protecting your sisters, and that hero's going to charge in. You send the bird after him, he's -1 to hit. You put Fire's Protection down, he's another -1 to hit. He's now -2 to hit. And you kind of can just stack the buffs to make him really powerful.
Nice.
Another thing, the command ability gives him an aura of 12 inches +1 to hit for Wanderers, which is the Sisters of the Watch.
Okay, so that's back into Sisters of the Watch.
So they're now hitting on 2s. You can ignite their weapons to wound on 2s.
Filthy.
So you got 40 shots, 2s and 2s.
Yeah,
it's all about
that's
just
layering
pumping
up.
everything up.
Yeah.
Making
like
him the wizard as well because he's the hero.
Yeah.
It's all just about kind of... And this is what I'm talking about when you've kind of got using all the different races to the best of their ability. You've got the Free People's super hardcore heavy cavalry, flanked by the elven archers with their pinpoint accuracy and amazing bows, with a stonewall block of dwarves just charging up the centre with their shields and clanking together. And
if you get that paint scheme right, exactly,
just you kind of unify them.
I mean, you've gone quite old school with your Free People's colour scheme, didn't you? It's like bright blue
with white trousers.
Yeah.
Oh, and
I
didn't mention actually another thing is before I forget, because I will forget, Shadow Warriors. I've got a unit of 10 of them in there because So Daughters of Cain, as you all know, I do a Daughters of Cain army, and what wins me the game every single time with Daughters of Cain, and I kid you not, every single game I win with them is because of Kinare. And that is the one sole reason. Kinare, a unit of 5, you stick them up in the skies all game. You take 2 or 3
any turn
units,
they want.
deploy any turn, and they just drop down on the... Because, you know, often the games, the close games are won in the turn 4 and turn 5 when you're scurrying for objective points. And there's so many games where I've got to that point with my opponent and it's like, right, we just need to grab objectives, everything's down to the objective. I'm like, yeah, and I drop 3 units of Kinare, grabbing all 3 of his objectives and just win the game like that. And I'm like, there you go, done.
There you go.
Done.
And it's frustrating when you're playing against them because you know they're there. And you know they're coming.
Yeah, it's
and there's so many
thing.
of them, and they're so mobile. Even coming down turn 4 and then moving on to objectives.
I mean, the 14-inch me.
You know.
And another thing as well is that whilst ever they're in the sky, they're a threat to the back line. So I've had my opponent as well. He'll have like a big old unit of 20, something really powerful sat on an objective. And he just wants more than anything to run that unit of 20 up so it can do damage. But he just can't. Just can't, because as soon as he does that, my unit drops down.
Especially on a couple of those missions where you gain more for taking the...
And if they die, I'm like, all right, they're dead. They were like 80 points, but they've just scored me 3 victory points. That's a win in my book. So
Shadow Warriors.
When I saw Shadow Warriors, they have the exact same rule. They can be set up anywhere on the battlefield 9 inches away from enemy units. Now, they're not as good as Kinare because, for many reasons. One, they're more expensive. They're 110 points. Another one is you have to take them in blocks of 10. So, you know, it's quite a big unit you're taking.
Yeah.
But one thing they are better at than Kinare is they're actually quite good in combat and shooting. So they have a bow, an 18-inch bow, and if they're in cover, they add 1 to hit and wound rolls. They're dropping down 1 shot each, 2s, 3s, -1 damage. You know, they drop down and they can just shoot a character off. That's hiding backfield or something.
Yeah, or 2 or 3 things that were just lingering on the objective to hold it. You know, that's the thing, isn't it?
And I mean, this is kind of one of my when I'm talking about this army's a modeler's dream, is because I'm actually converting these. I'm using Cawdor models with the free
Necromunda Cawdor.
Yeah, Necromunda Cawdor, which, you know, everybody uses for cities, but they're just so amazing. But giving them the Free Guild Outrider repeater handguns.
Which one's the Cawdor? Is the long cloaks?
No, the cultist ones with all nooses around their necks.
Okay, gotcha, yeah.
And, you know, giving them the Free Guild Outrider repeater crossbows, which is their bow and arrows, giving them the kind of like cloaks. And, you know, the lore behind them is they're kind of an assassin cult that live within the city. And the city, whilst it begrudgingly allows them to live there because they are assassins, the city needs them, don't they? You know, they eliminate high priority targets for them and stuff like that.
And, you know, and any kind of D&D player,
of course,
or fan of Terry Pratchett, the idea of the guilds in the cities, which are
you know, the Thieves Guild from Skyrim and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of the idea. But that's where you can kind of go crazy with the army, and, you know, do whatever you want with them. If you want humans wielding fiery bows, go for it. I mean, you're spending £60 for 10.
What's interesting, and it's a bit like when I was working on, I needed 10 Ungors as sacrificial Ungors for the back of my, it was Dan who came up with this brilliant idea of using flagellants as prisoners, if you like. And then what I did was get the flagellant model and tie them to a spear that had been drowned, and all that kind of stuff. What I learned when I started to dig around some of those old kits from Free Peoples is there's some beautiful models in there. That's shocking. I think a lot of the times you dismiss them because they were done at a time where the cover artwork of the boxes had that kind of high contrast paint scheme. So everybody looks like they're screaming their heads off with like super high contrast pointy cheeks. Actually, when you look at the bare plastic, the kits are really nice, you know. And I think
with a good paint scheme.
Yeah, you know. Well, you know, Sam's gone on to use some of the old kits from People's.
He used Orlocks.
I know he used Orlocks, but he used heads and stuff like that. And it's surprised there's some nice bits in there.
There is,
Okay, let's catch up on the chat a little bit before we push on. We've got about 15 minutes more to go, so let's see if there's anything people in the chat want us to have a visit at. What have we got here? Coleman pointing out with Hallow Heart you get more buffs on top of your magicians. Iron Breakers with a Rune Lord. I'll talk about a Rune Lord. I've stuck a Rune Lord. I've stuck a Rune Lord into my Fire Slayer list a couple of times, and I like him.
He's good at shutting down magic. +2 to his deny.
Yeah, I think he's great. Let's just give a shout out for Shadow Warriors. I think we've done that. Drop the mic, walk away. They're great.
Yeah.
I agree. Demon Lizard is joining us. Fantastic. Amit just saying Iron Breakers in the centre, 2 units of Sisters of Watch flanking, Huracan and buffing the whole lot. It can be done, can't it? That 12-inch bubble is quite tight, though. I see what you mean, especially when you're up to 40, 2 units of 20 either side.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
It's
the
a bit of a squeeze.
Huracanum hasn't made the 2,000 points, but the Nomad Prince has. You know,
Which
the
gives
Nomad
you...
Prince is infinitely cheaper, and for just 1 command point, he has a larger radius of +1 to
It's
hit.
a dubious use of the word infinite, but I'm
Yeah.
alright. It's a bit cheaper.
Yeah, it's quite a lot.
Let's get Demon Lizard from Outer Space says hello all together. Cities of Sigmar player / Wanderers player here. Fantastic Wanderers, beautiful models.
Yeah, there's also that I've always wanted to do.
Nomad
Wanderers,
Prince is
so.
awesome, says Demon Lizard from Outer Space. He's spotted it, he's loving it. That's fantastic. It's definitely made your army now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Going to use the Cawdor minis for word bearer cultists in 40k.
Nice.
Yeah.
They're brilliant.
They're
The
such good
Cawdor
models.
minis are just so nice.
Necromunda's just had such an impact on like the conversion world because he's just giving you access. I think as well there's a whole bunch of beautiful models inside Blackstone Fortress, which I think it'll take a while, but that will start to filter through as well, and you'll see some of that. They're quite specific though, whereas the Necromunda gangs give you a lot.
You have the rogue trader with her peg leg, whatever her name is.
But there's another
really
rogue trader
nice.
for Blackstone Fortress, and they're just fantastic
they're all
models.
really good.
What have we got in there? Luca says hi. Hey, how you doing? And Ralph almost says, nice show, lads. Gonna call it. Having a long and busy day tomorrow. Well, good luck with that, sir. And Common says, come on. In Hallowheart, Huracanum is a double caster with a shooting attack that's better than a rocket battery.
But it's 300 points.
Gonna use Blackstone Fortress Cultists for word bearers too. Well, there you go. Where we are as one Demon Lizard from outer space. Okay, let's talk something. I think we've done a couple of deep dives into some of the units, some of the generic stuff. Should we visit some of the cities and just give it a quick cover? You talked about you've kind of dabbled with all of the cities at one point or another.
Most of them.
I tell you what, let's start with where you've ended up when it comes to your 2,000 point. Where do you think you're
ended?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I ended up with Hallowheart.
Right. Okay.
You're at the beginning.
I'm at the very
At the
beginning. I'm doing my best.
Go for it.
Yeah.
So, Hallowheart is, we've said it, the magic city is the one of majors. No, other way.
This way?
Yep, that way. There you go. There we go. Right, and back to it. Right, so Hallowheart is the magic city. It gives all your wizards +1 to cast. Whoop whoop. It gives your entire army a 5 up to ignore all spells. Whoop whoop.
Ridiculous. This is the Eldritch attunement.
Yeah, you have their command ability. You can sacrifice D6 mortal wounds on a caster, and then use that to, and then whatever the mortal wounds was, that becomes a plus modifier to your next casting roll.
Okay.
So, a lot of things I see is because, wizards are a 2 cast, you take a Celestial Huracanum, you use the command ability to take a load of wounds. You're not going to die because you're 11 wounds. So even if you take 6 mortal wounds, you then get a +6 to cast your next spell. It might be something important like Elemental Cyclone, that's really good. Yeah. And then for your next spell, you take Sear Wounds and heal those D6 wounds back. So it's kind of like a recycling almost. And something that should be mentioned as well, a lot of people don't spot this, but you can actually choose 2 of the following spells for each wizard in your army, which is really nice.
I think... Yeah, go on, carry on.
Well, it's just that because each wizard is a 2 cast now, you can kind of with each wizard taking 2 spells, you can kind of have backups as well. If one battle mage dies, it doesn't...
Well, I think you've made a really solid point about Seer Wounds, because you take the mortal wounds on the caster, yeah?
Yep.
But it also affects, is that right? You add the roll to casting rolls made by other Hallowheart wizards while they're within 12 inch?
Yeah, so you could have a 12-inch bubble of +6 to cast.
Yeah, you take the damage on one model, but the benefit is multi-model. And those multi-models, if you've got a couple of wizards either side, like you said, you're always going to stick the Seer Wounds back on them.
Yeah.
And you're pretty much guaranteed to get away with, what is it, the casting value of 6?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you've got an average, say, 4 roll,
Yeah.
You know, that's it. You know, and the point is you need that seer wounds roll.
Yes.
And something like a +4 is enough to put you well ahead of any.
Yeah.
You know, it's to put you comfortably ahead of a decent dispel. Decent deny roll.
Yeah.
Because you're still rolling dice, aren't you? I mean, you're still
yeah.
going to average a 6 or a 7 roll.
Yeah.
And on that, on that 7 roll, you're going to get +4.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, which pushes you to 10, and then that's
it's
shutting
enough to
down
push
the
you
deny,
into the
isn't
more
it?
powerful arcane bowl. It's able to get those more hardcore spells. I mean, and the nice thing about Hallowed Heart is none of the spells are bad. I mean, that does like D3 mortal wounds, and a 4-up it does another D3 mortal wounds. You know, that's really good. You've got healed D6 wounds. You've got Elemental Cyclone, which is just anti-horde. Warding Brand, which is really good. I've seen a lot of people use that on 43 Gil Guard. You throw 43 Gil Guard in there, they're all going to die, but on a 4-up, the enemy unit takes a mortal wound.
Yeah.
So it's just about like killing your enemy through that. Add 1 to the Eldritch Attunement, so that makes them a 4-up to ignore spells. If you've got a really important unit that you don't want being debuffed, say 6 Demigryph Knights, then you put that onto them, they now get a 4-up to ignore spells. It's they've now more protected from the spells.
Yeah.
And then Ignite Weapons, which is +1 wound, which is just so good. Because a lot of the units don't wound very well in this book.
Okay.
And then the artifacts and the command traits as well are actually quite good. I mean, 18-inch bubble of immune to battle shock, that's something the book needs because the army isn't great on battle shock. I mean, a lot of the free people are like Bravery 5.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
So what's giving that? Is that
the Veterans of the Blazing Crusade? So it's one of the command
battle
traits. Yeah, I mean, you've got 4-up to regenerate another command point. Combine that with your advisor. That's now 2 dice for 4-ups to get command points. Yeah. You've got the Whitefire Totem, makes your wizard better, or if it's not a wizard, it becomes a wizard.
Nice, which is how you've been bending your generals.
5 casts now.
And that's how you've been bending your general into a wizard, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I ended up with, reluctantly, that is the best city. I
think the thing is, and we've got this here.
This is
the cards for the War Scroll box. It's a nice chunky little box in there, as you can see. It's genuinely taken some time, I think,
just
to plow through it.
Try all the cities. I mean, I started off on Hammerhow.
I mean, every unit, it's like when you're trying to assess the ability of a unit, it's that multiplied by characters and their abilities, multiplied by the faction you put them in. And it creates this cascade, doesn't it, in terms of assessing the list.
The thing I think they've done really well with the book is individuality of all the units. Crossbowmen used to be very similar to Dark Shards, which used to be very similar to Glade Guard, which used to be very similar because it was the old Sigmar when everything kind of was the same, wasn't it?
Like
whereas now you have a lot of individuality. Crossbowmen are vastly different to Dark Shards. They perform 2 very different roles. Handgunners are very different to, I don't know, Sisters of the Watch and stuff like that. 2 longer ranged artillery.
Yeah.
It's just, I think they've done really well with it.
Cool.
I've really enjoyed it, going through everything.
Well, let's wrap up on the chat. We've got 3 minutes of the show left. Let's wrap up on the chat and see where we're at. Lucas says, finally I can see live instead of a redo like in the last weeks. Well, it's nice for you to join us, sir. And am I the only one not fine anyone that not to fine anyone that plays Cities of Sigmar as an army? Not too fine. I'm not quite sure what do you mean. Hold on a second. In the last weeks, I've not been able to see.
Popular around where I am.
Oh, okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, I think the book kind of was more for people who already had the army to kind of update their army. But saying that, a lot of people have been drawn into the army since the book came out.
I think you're right. There's a few barriers. And there was a few observations when the book came out. This is a book to wrap up all of those old models and keep people happy who've got the old armies and while they're still selling the plastic models, etc. etc. There was some concerns. Is how long will this army last? How long will it remain supported for? Because they killed off a bunch of units.
Yes.
didn't they? They disappeared as it went. It's one of those things. I think if you had the army already make hay while the sun shine, you enjoy modelling and building and those kind of things. And you got into Free Peoples before Cities of Sigmar even came out. Because you wanted that old retro kind of fantasy feel, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is we all know they've kind of talked about the old age as well. So you've got to, if you build these armies, you're probably going to have another way of playing with them in 3 years' time. Why announce so advanced? I don't know. And the thing is, what I'd hope is people get over the fact that if I'm going to use these things, then I've got to use the models. And I think it's not the case. The idea of using Cawdor for Shadow Warriors. You could use, some of the newer models or different models for some of the units. I'm using a bunch of Dark Shards.
You're using Ideneth.
But they're Ideneth Deepkin on my base model. So
yeah,
lots of ways that you can build it, and I think it's one of those books that's worth digging into because I think it's a great
very
source.
Easy to dismiss.
But it's a great source as well. Even if you don't want to do an entire faction, it's a great
allies.
source of allies. On top of that, I think it's also, if you do dig into it, it's a great source for someone who doesn't want to do like a massive army of all the same stuff. You want to do a few dwarves and a few elves and a few humans and a few cool models like the Hurricanum or the Griffin, There's some great models in that range. And it could almost be like a hobby project that builds into an army that's playable, So hopefully we'll see more.
Yeah.
I think when people see how well they do in some of the up-and-coming tournaments, you'll probably see a lot more.
Yes,
But that doesn't always impact the local hobby scene. What becomes competitive in the tournament doesn't always drive the local hobby scene. And this is a book that takes a bit of work, I think. It's not an instant pick it up.
It's taken me a while.
This is a winning army, Okay, Coleman says, it's a proper hobby book. Well, there you go, exactly. What I love about Cities is it's almost a bit embarrassing to run a unit for what they really are out the box. It's an absolutely convert fest. Lucas says, Free Peoples in July hands are perfect zombies.
In my hands?
In my hands, maybe. Yeah. Well, exactly. Free Peoples zombies. Okay. Conversions of Sigmar, says Demon Lizards from Faust. Oh, my hands, it was the correction. Yeah, exactly. Some good models. And that's the whole thing, isn't it? You can have some real fun with this. You could do a Cities of Sigmar army that's been taken over by Nurgle.
Yeah.
You just use the book and use
you could do like a chaos cult
chaos
city.
Cult city that's just fallen, and like the old days where you used to play the dark Traitor Guard,
like
which
that,
was just the guard book, but you hobbied it up however you want. Imagine doing a chaos cult city, that's fallen back into the chaos cult way, In which case, you'd be digging all over. I think great kits would be Genestealer Cult.
Genestealer Cult, you've got the old Chaos.
The Chaos Cultists, just instant winners. It's a whole bunch of stuff. So, a hobby fest for sure. At that, we're going to call it a night, folks. Hope you've enjoyed that. Like I say, it wasn't a standard review. We've not gone through page by page. What we've talked about is from the perspective of moving from, the Free People's Army into Cities of Sigmar and the decisions you've made and some of the units you've picked out. We may still come back and do the book and go from front to back with it, because I think it's one of those books that's really interesting. I mentioned a few weeks ago we're going to do more of these where we spend a little bit more time with some of the Battletomes and some of the codexes as well.
I mean,
where there's a push on 40k, so...
I've just finished a tournament doing Orc, so I kind of know the Orc book now.
What are you playing in February?
Daughters,
yeah. So maybe we'll look at some of those things as well.
Yeah.
Okay, stop giving me more ideas, says Demon Lizard from outer space. Yeah, well, that's what we need, isn't it? We need more hobby on the desk. I'm just looking at the embarrassing amount of conversions. I don't know. That's a fully converted army. There's over 80 converted Ungors, individually converted, of which there were 7 stages to each conversion. So do the math. It almost broke me, that
I'm just
job.
going to tell you, I finished painting an army in the time it took you to
convert one unit. But my Dracolines are getting there, which is good news. I'm really pleased with them. I tell you what, I'll do a quick show just in case people are interested. I'll do a quick show on this camera. There we are, before we go. So let me zoom in a little bit. That's how they're looking at the moment. The saddles are there. I'm pretty pleased with how my little 3D printed saddles came out. Combination of plastic and the resin 3D print. But there's just some base colours on at the moment, so don't get overly excited. The bases have been done. They will get their little lava pieces all around them and those kind of things. But I've just laid a few colours down, and I've spotted a few places that need a little bit of filling and a bit of love. One of the things I noticed was I needed to continue this little string of little bits there. And what I'd like to do is actually put some more Fire Slayer bits there. So I've noticed I've missed a bit, but that's okay because I can just spray them and chop them and put them on. I've finished the straps off for the saddles as well and put some little Fire Slayer bits in. But they're intentionally a cross between Sigmar and Fire Slayer iconography. They're meant to be almost gifted by Sigmar, by some Fire Slayers who worked very closely with Sigmar, basically, because this is part of this nice little army that I'm doing for the Game of Thrones in February. And my main character as well has just received his base coat of extremely gleamy silver. So this is the unique character that will be done. I mean, obviously he's literally just had a base coat of silver, but the lizard cloak and all the rest will be put back in now, and base colours laid down. His head's somewhere over there. And here's some of the Rune Sons sort of things that sit on the Dracoline. So they're little double-handed weapons. And I've done the one with a heavy pike with a little bit of flame licking out the top of it and those kind of things. So they're recognisable. That's the big heavy weapon. That's the two-handed weapon ones. So they're recognisable from a proxy point of view, but definitely with a very strong Fire Slayer aesthetic to them. There you go. Calling it a night, folks. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Jack.
That's all right.
You're back here for 4 weeks? A month?
Yeah, 4 weeks.
We've got a whole bunch of gaming planned. We are going to be down in the studio recording a few games. And well, as I said, we'll do some test games here live as well. They'll be rough and ready shows for sure. Because we're literally just going to be walking through meeting engagements together.
Yeah.
The books will be out. We'll be discussing the rules, and people in chat are welcome to join in. And those shows will probably end up being, I don't know, a couple of hours or something like that. But if people want to join us and join us on those live shows, we'll just put them up there, and you're welcome to come along. And if not, catch them on a repeat back. I don't know whether they'll stay on the YouTube channel. I might pull them down afterwards and just put them over on the website or something like that. If you've never been to the website, check out wargameronline.com. If you want to support us, sign up to premium membership, and much appreciated. There's a whole raft of new content coming finally for the premium members, so thank you very much to everybody who's continued to support us while we had our mass technical fail. And we'll see you again soon, folks.
All right, see ya.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks all. See you again soon. Bye.